All right, let's dive in. What if I told you the secret to closing way more sales isn't about working harder, but about talking less? I know, it sounds kind of crazy, right? But in this explainer, we're going to break down why what you don't say is often way more powerful than what you do. And we'll see how a simple shift in how you communicate value can, completely transform your results.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever been in that situation with a client where you can just feel yourself talking too much? You know what I mean. You're over-explaining, you're muddying the waters instead of making things clear, and then that sinking feeling hits. You realize you might be talking yourself right out of the deal. It happens to the best of us. It's a super common problem, but the good news is it's totally fixable.
So how do we fix it? Well, we need to start with a rock-solid foundation. We need a framework, a kind of to-do list that's always going to be true no matter how much tech or the market changes. And that's what we call the 5-step golden chain.
And it's a really simple but incredibly powerful sequence. Look, it goes like this. Questions, they start. Conversations. Those conversations, they build relationships. Relationships then create opportunities. And those opportunities, when you handle them the right way, they lead to sales. This right here, this is the engine for your success in any market. So forget your normal to-do list for a second. This is the real one. Every single day, you should be asking yourself, who do I need to ask more questions of? What conversations am I kind of avoiding? And where are my best opportunities hiding?
Okay, so you probably noticed that the whole chain kicks off with asking questions, right? But there's another part to that, a part that's actually even more powerful. And that brings us to what I like to call the secret weapon, the art of silence. Yup, you heard that right. After we ask those great, big, bold questions, we have to shut up and actually listen. I'm not kidding, this is probably the most underrated skill in this entire profession. Heck, in any profession where you have to talk to other people. We all get so wrapped up in what we're going to say next that we totally forget to hear what's being said right now. And this just illustrates the point perfectly. Check this out. If you look at the letters in the word listen, you'll see they're the exact same letters in the word silent. Now, is that just some random coincidence? Yeah, probably. But it makes a heck of a point, doesn't it? It's like a little cheat code. If you can just be brave enough to ask a great question and then zip it, you'll be amazed at how many people will talk themselves into working with you. Okay, so we've covered the how of communication, asking great questions and then being silent. But now let's talk about the what. What are we actually communicating? This is a huge turning point where we shift the entire focus away from what something costs to what it's truly worth. This is the classic battle, price versus value.
I want you to think about it like a set of scales. If the price of something feels heavier, bigger than its value, well, the sale is dead before it even starts. Nobody's going to buy it. It just seems too expensive. But what if you can flip that? What if you can make the value seem so much bigger than the price? Well, that's when everything changes. All of a sudden, the price isn't an obstacle anymore, it's an investment.
And to really hammer this point home, I want to tell you a quick story. Let's call it the parable of the 2,000-pound pen. And I want you to pay really close attention, because here's the kicker. The pen itself never, ever changes. All right, so for scenario number 1, picture this pen just tossed on a grubby table at a car boot sale or a flea market. You know the scene. It's just sitting there amongst a bunch of other random secondhand junk. So in that context, what's that pen worth? Probably nothing, right? You might not even pay a quid for it. Its perceived value is basically zero. Okay, but now, let's change the scene. Now, let's take that exact same pen. No changes. But this time, it's not at a flea market. Now it's standing up straight in one of those clean little acrylic stands. You're in the stationery department of a nice department store, and there's a whole row of them right next to it. So what's it worth now? Well, suddenly you're expecting to see a price tag, maybe something like $59.99. And think about it. Nothing has changed about the pen itself, but the context, the environment, has already started to build up its value. But, we can take this way further. We're not even close to done yet. Let's take that same pen one last time, and this time we're going to build a true top-tier luxury experience around it. Just look at all these little details that add value. The pen isn't in a cheap plastic stand anymore. No, now it's resting inside a beautiful mahogany box lined with velvet. And that box, it's sitting inside a glass cabinet with a spotlight hitting it just right. And we're not in any old store. We're in Harrods in Knightsbridge, London. And to even get a look at it, you have to speak to an attendant, let's call him Pierre, who's wearing a full tuxedo and white gloves. So now what's the pen worth? £2,000. It's an absolutely crazy jump in value, right? And remember the most important part. It is the exact same pen. So what changed? What was the actual difference between those three scenarios? It wasn't the pen. It was the mahogany box, the velvet lining, the spotlight, the fancy location, the story. It was Pierre. It was everything around the pen that changed. And that right there brings us to the biggest takeaway of this entire explainer. The lesson from that pen story is the absolute key to articulating your own true worth. So here it is, the big idea. The thing is never really worth the money. Your product, your service, that's just the pen. It's all the things that go with your thing that make it worth the money. It's your Pierre. The better you get at explaining and showing all those surrounding pieces, the more value people will see in what you do. So how do you actually do that? Well, it's about showing people you genuinely understand their problems and that you're the one who can solve them. It's about showing you get their why. Not just what they want to do, but why it's so important to them. You're not just selling a service, you're guiding them on a journey from where they are now to where they desperately want to be. That's your mahogany box. That's your velvet lining. And that really is the big question I want to leave you with today. Think about it. What's your expertise? What's your unique process? Your deep understanding, your story? What are all the things that go with your thing? Because that, my friends, is where your true, undeniable value really lies.